whole lot of loving is what we'll be bringing. We'll make you happy.
Hello and welcome to episode 14, part 1 of Schools with Heart. In the first 13 episodes, my intention was to lay the solid foundation, the indispensable prerequisite upon which a successful SEL program must be built, namely a supreme dedication to learning to love on even deeper levels. The teacher has always been the heart and soul of the classroom. Students listen and learn to the degree that they are motivated, and no one can disagree that the greatest motivator on the planet Earth is love. The teachers who place the highest premium on learning to love their students are the teachers who, like me, strive to value their students beyond a galaxy of stars. It is our highest calling as educators. Mastering the curriculum pales in comparison. Above every brilliant idea, tool, or strategy that you glean from my books and videos, if you miss the heart and soul of it all, learning to love, your efforts will produce little lasting fruit. Believe me when I tell you that I'm not merely repeating what I read or heard somewhere. I'm speaking from personal experience. I have lived what I espouse. I know what it is to have favorites, to wish a child wasn't in my class, to lose patience, to explode, and to call a child an idiot. But thank God for forgiveness and for a second chance. Thank God I woke up and embraced the truth at all cost. Those days are far behind me, but I will never forget. I share my past with you because I want you to know who I used to be and who I am today. I want those of you who struggle to love your students to know that I too once struggled for years, and indeed, to a limited degree, I will continue to struggle, for I am utterly imperfect and will always need help from God, the God who loves us all despite ourselves. I know there's someone listening today who's hearing my words and needs that second chance, a new beginning. If that's you, I'm here for you. I know your frustrations. I know the shame of mistreating an innocent child, and I know how to turn it around. My issues in the classroom resulted from issues of the heart. My heart. Maybe someday I'll write a book entirely dedicated to how God healed my heart. What I'll tell you for now is that until I got my heart right, I could not love children. No one can. You're not alone. And now I'm going to tell you the story that transformed my approach to teaching more than any other. It's my standalone game changer story. I have so many glorious stories to share, but this one beats them all for its seismic potential to transform a classroom. It happened in late October of 2011. I had directed a class of 30-plus 7th graders to grab their library books and wait for me in the comments to guide them to the library. For the sake of understanding the dynamics of the story, the Commons was a long, expansive area that connected 8 classrooms, most of which had wide, sliding glass doors that looked into the Commons. Students crossed the Commons inside to reach their classrooms. In stories, it's often referred to as the quad. But on that particular day, before following my students outside into the Commons, which was normally the case, I was detained by a couple students who insisted on talking to me immediately about an emergency. Usually, I would have just talked to them on the way to the library, but the kids were adamant that they had to talk to me privately, right then. As it turned out, for once, it was really an emergency, and forgetting all about the rest of the class, I gave them my full attention until suddenly I looked up at the clock and realized that we had been talking for over 10 minutes. That for over 10 minutes, my class had been out in the Commons, alone, without teacher supervision. With a pounding heart and a sense of dread, I rushed into the Commons, expecting the worst. I imagined them waving at their friends through the windows and disturbing other classes with loud talking. But what I saw was the most pivotal scene of my teaching career. Every single one of my students, down to the last one, was sitting at a table, either reading a book, writing, or engaged in some other task. Not a single word could be heard. They were perfectly in charge of themselves. It was too good to be true, but it was true. I hadn't given them a single word of directions. I hadn't told them to sit down, take out a book, be absolutely quiet, and wait for me. They had done it all by themselves. In all my life, I'd never been so proud of a class. I could not wait to get home and sit down with my computer. My spirit told me that something really big had happened at school that day. I remember asking God to reveal exactly what they had done that was so extraordinary. What I knew in my heart was if they'd done it once, they could do it again. In less than a few minutes, it was crystal clear. 1. They were self-starters who didn't wait for the teacher to tell them what to do. 2. They made wise use of their time. 3. They were not easily distracted by their peers. And 4. They could be trusted to stay on task even when no one is there to make sure. No one was there to make sure. And those, my friends, are the 4 skills of independence. Self-starters who don't wait to be told what to do, who make wise use of their time, who are not easily distracted, and who can be trusted to do the right thing even when no one is there to make sure. That is what they did that day. And it became known as the infamous skills of independence. In other words, they had proven themselves to be trustworthy. I remember asking out loud, "What shall I call this?" And the answer came without a moment's pause: the skills of independence. That very night, I typed it all up, ready to show to my students the next day. I had a plan. I knew that if my kids could do it once, they could do it again and again. The next morning, I had a few minutes to find my principal and show him the plan. I'll never forget the look on his face when he handed it back and said, "Olivia, the whole school should do this." That day, when I shared the plan with my students, they all agreed that I had nailed it. They bought into the program without a shred of resistance. In fact, they were excited. The most important reason they liked it was because I told them right then and there that it was going to involve freedom. Freedom. I wasn't sure that first day what that freedom would look like, but I promised them that the next day we would talk more about the skills and figure it out together. That night, I spent hours on the next day's lesson. I decided to focus on the concepts of trust, responsibility, consequences, self-control, independence versus dependence. They learned that when they proved to me that they had mastered all 4 components of the skills, that they would then become masters who could be trusted with freedom. We talked that day about how they were so sick of being controlled by the adults in their lives and how excited they were for the chance to control themselves. So that's the behind-the-scenes story behind the birth of a self-discipline tool that should be instituted in every school in America, public, private, charter, or homeschool. Every child in the world should be given the opportunity to learn to control themselves. So perhaps you're a little bit doubtful and you think, wow, that's really asking a lot of students. You think you don't have too many students who are capable of that. So before we go on with this video, I want to impress you with a story. I call it a miracle story of a student who I have who's in 5th grade right now. His name is Noah, and you can see the picture of Noah right here, a 5th grader who came to our school this year with the whole world against him, so to speak. Noah was that classic student that had given up long ago. As a 5th grader, he was tested and found to be on a kindergarten reading level. So you can imagine you can imagine the academic struggles that this boy has. 5 years behind in reading. He has speech issues, so he now has a speech teacher. He has frustration and anger issues, emotional outbursts. He is completely distractible. He had a fixed mindset. You can't have a worst case scenario fixed mindset than Noah. He was all about, I'll never learn to read, and I'm stupid, and so why should I even try? And so when I first met him, I knew, wow, this is going to be a challenge. Right away, I chose Noah as one of my challenges for this year. And so one day at a time, we all worked with Noah and encouraged him and supported him. And one day he said to me, it was months ago, he said, Miss LaField, I'm going to be a master someday. It was out of the blue. I was like, wow, Noah. Then I knew that we were reaching him. He had decided, I can do this. I could be a master. I could have that necklace and have that freedom. So I was so excited. And every day I would encourage him in that goal. His grit goal was to be a master. Well, a couple weeks ago, he came into the library where I was and said, Miss LaField, he was so excited. He said, all the teachers, everyone has signed my papers. I'll talk to you about their papers in an upcoming video. He said, everyone has signed my papers. Can we make my necklace today? You're soon going to find out all about that necklace. I cried. I absolutely sat there with him and cried and hugged him. This is a boy who, at the beginning of the year, so that was August, September, October, November, December, January. 7 months ago, he had the whole world going against him. And now today, he is a master of the skills of independence. And so, give him the opportunity to overcome his fixed mindset and to believe in himself and to get extra help. The love and support that he's been getting for these 7 months created an opportunity for a child to turn his whole life around. He now, when I put that necklace on him, when we made it that day, I put it on him, and I said, how do you feel about yourself? And he said, he's really proud. And I said, Noah, that's what self-respect is. You have self-respect now, probably for the first time in your whole life. You have worked so hard for this. And so now you know what it feels like to overcome great odds. Noah's favorite poster is, he has 2 favorite posters. One of them is the Dr. King poster. He has 3, and I'll tell you all 3 of them, because I know them. He just wrote a paragraph on it. His most favorite poster is the Martin Luther King. It's not about how smart you are. It's about how hard you're willing to work and the quality of your character. And another one of his favorite posters is slow but sure wins the race, because I taught him all about that, because he's all so far behind in the race. And I said, it's all about that you just keep on going and you'll win. You'll win that necklace. And then his third favorite poster is, ask yourself constantly, what is the right thing to do? And so I hope you're inspired by that story of a young man who beat the odds because he was given the tools and the support and the love to rise to meet his full potential. He is just on his way. Every child in the world should be given the opportunity to learn to control themselves and be proud of themselves. In part 2, I'll dive more deeply into the philosophy behind the skills. But until then, be sure to read the chapter in The School That Love Built that tells all about how the skills of independence changed our school. I hope you're as excited to learn more about the skills as I am excited to teach you about them. We'll see you soon. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.